Welcome. We are now at lesson 2C. This is going to be this is going to be a mini project. Our mini project involves an analysis of data of median household incomes of Democrats and Republicans in the 2008 presidential election. So go ahead and hit pause, answer questions 1 and 2, write down some of your thoughts and opinions, and then come back and we'll walk through a little bit of that before we get to the objectives. So why do people choose particular political parties? I hope you wrote down a couple of thoughts and ideas, and it can be all over the place. It could be that it was how you were raised. It could be in the location where you were raised. It could be that it's your own philosophical or religious beliefs. Many reasons why people choose particular political parties. Question number 2, would higher income be more likely to be associated with Democrat or Republican? And traditionally, it is associated with Republican Party. Many people think the Republican Party is for the rich people. So walk through and underline some of the objectives with me. Graphical displays can be used to compare two sets of data. Research additional related data. Well, this is optional. If anything we do this semester piques your interest, please go look up more and pursue more information. I know that happened a lot of times in class, especially this last semester. Students would say, wow, that's cool, and then they would take off and go look at it more. We're not going to research more, but what you will be doing is writing 2 paragraphs on some data. You're going to compare and to contrast what you're seeing. So before this lesson's over, you're going to write a contextual analysis of a graphical display in a formal paper, at least 2 paragraphs long, and include appropriate math language and explanations. So right here, I want to go ahead and pause and remind you that in the back of your book, at the end of your resources, you have a resource called Writing Principles. I highly encourage you to go ahead and look at that. It's going to help you to use, I'll call it fancy words, but words that get your point across in maybe a minimal amount of words. In other words, make this academic, make it professional, make it real, but put some time and effort to make this sound good, and it gives you a chance to practice writing mathematics. The table on the next page lists the median household income in thousands of dollars. And all this semester, you're going to hear me say, look at the chart, analyze the chart before you even start digging into the chart, what's going on with on the axes, on the titles. And it says this is for each state in the 2008 presidential election. The states are separated into groups, those that were carried by Barack Obama and those that were carried by John Kane. Question number 3 is below and says, consider the following excerpt from this table and what does it tell us about California's votes and what other information is given in the table. This is a great time to hit pause, write some comments here, and then come back and we'll look at it a little bit more. In the data that you're about to analyze, you have states that are won by Obama and states that are won by McCain. The states will be listed, and then the median household income in thousands of dollars will be listed also. And so we only see a 57, and we have to really know that that means $57,000. So a comment you can make is that the entry indicates that California's electoral votes went to Obama and that the median household income in California is $57,000. On this slide, I have snipped the top part of question 4. It says that data for the 50 states and side-by-side box plots of that data are shown. Your mini project assignment is to write a paper of at least 2 paragraphs comparing and contrasting the box plots of the income of the states that voted for each of the candidates. This formal paper will be graded according to the rubric distributed by your instructor. So again, I cannot overemphasize enough that you do look that the titles explain which part you're looking at, and you're looking at median, and then you're looking at who won these states, and then median income, and both of these are in thousands of dollars. So on this screen, I snipped it a little bit differently where I could get the tables and the box plots. The instructions on question 4 state that your assignment's to write at least 2 paragraphs, and you're going to compare and contrast the box plots. The box plots are down here at the bottom. If you're not sure about box plots and their meanings, they're 5 parts, the 5-number summary. In the back of your book, in the resources, there is more information about what each of these lines represents. You can also search the internet. You can look on various mathematics websites and you're looking for box plots, or it may be called box and whisker plot. As you look at those box plots, you get to decide what you want to report, on, what you want to comment about. And when it says compare, remember compare means what do they have that's the same or similar. And then when you contrast, it's what do they have that is different. You get to comment on what you want to comment on, but you don't have opinion. You don't get to say why you think what it is. You get to report out what you see like a reporter. It needs to be just the facts, just the facts. You can use information that's very, I started to say very clear, but you can see some specific numbers here in the 2 charts. You can use that information as you report, but you are to write 2 paragraphs where you compare and contrast these box plots. You're going to need to type your paragraphs into an electronic document, and I need you to use the naming convention, last name, first name, Math 1332, and then your section number. This is all outlined, described, and I believe clear in your assignments for this week. You also need to look at those assignments because it tells you the due date. The due date is a 2-week window. You need to get those turned in to my email. Again, all of this, it's all listed very clearly in your assignments. But just to give you the heads up that there is a naming convention, you will save it to the document with that convention and then email it to my address. These 2 paragraphs at the end of that 2 weeks will be scored using this rubric. I'm going to point out some parts on this rubric. And let's see, oh, I can't write on it, but I'll do it this way. There are 5 parts: mathematical competency and communication. Before you begin writing, I would, can you read this top one, number 4? I would go through and read all the 4s because the most amount of points you can get would be 20. There are 5 of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they are all, you're capable, have the ability to get 4 on all of these sections. So I would read all of the 4s. Like the first one, mathematical vocabulary and conclusions are correct and clearly communicated to a general audience. You're going to have to explain so that somebody who's not even looking at these box plots would know what you're talking about. A 1 would be incorrect vocabulary and conclusions. That's what you don't want. The purpose, you need to write it as a 4. The per paper contains a complete comparison contrast of the 2 box plots. You don't want a 1. Paper contains an incomplete description of the 2 separate box plots. Reasoning and problem solving. The paper contains a complete justification for mathematical conclusions and does not contain opinions. On organization and style, the paper has a logical flow with an introduction, body, and conclusion. And then finally, the paper is neatly prepared with correct spelling and grammar. Again, look in your notes for this week's assignments. And it's not due this week, it will be due in 2 weeks, but you need to look at the assignments to know specifically what that date is. There is a way to save it with a naming convention, and then you're going to upload that to my email. I am excited about what you're going to be able to do with comparing and contrasting these 2 box plots. This concludes Lesson 2C. Go back and look at your syllabus to see if you have more to do for this week, or if this concludes your work for this week.